That's the part that I'm a little irritated with, and he doesn't want to know. It's like deliberate ignorance.
At this point, being whenever you and Lloyd are talking, you can't really. No one really is putting an actual answer out there because it's just
I'm being told I'm suppressing information when I'm actually offering the notion of what is actually happening in the device. I am
we have to be careful to distinguish those type of people from the people who are actually trying to bring something new that could be helpful.
particular to the plate. The gate is a plate. So when you put a bias on it, charge carriers, which are minority charge carriers, depending on the semiconductor, it's attracted to that plate. It can only go to the plate or back to the substrate, to the plate or back to the substrate. The source and drain is perpendicular to that. The current flow is actually 90 degrees to that bias on the gate. So the gate is not creating current. It's creating the path. That's it. It does not provide current. It creates a path for the source and drain to electrically connect. Now, the current running through that device comes from the drain. This is what I told Lloyd weeks ago. It does not, it comes from the drain. When he said he put his solar panels on the drain as well, I have two solar panels, one on the gate, one on the drain. Well, guess what? Your solar panels are only putting out 30 milliamps, brother. That's not amplifying current. It can only you're giving it current through the drain. That's where it comes from. But your panels only give out 30 milliamps. You're not giving it shit. That's nothing. So that's why he now, I am taking credit for this. He's now talking, oh, I can put my voltage here and have current come from another source. He's now talking like that. I can bring in a battery. Well, you know, the battery has both voltage and current. It doesn't need the solar panels. The solar panels are useless. The battery's doing the work now. So this is where he's misleading people, thinking this MOSFET is this magic device. It's not. It's not. It's only as good as the drain you power it. That's it. And even that current is not coming out. The current goes straight from the drain to the source to ground. It's not coming out. So that's not where you calculate your power out.
Still,
If he actually Googles the power out for a MOSFET, look at that equation. Look at that
scam
equation, how to calculate it. It is not what he thinks.
Scam Chen says field and a MOSFET, but do you not realize that MOSFET stands for metal oxide semiconducting field effect transistor? So it does have a
Wait, what
field.
happened?
Scam Chen says field and a MOSFET, but
Oh, he's questioning.
the
Okay,
name
okay.
the word field is literally in the name MOSFET. It stands
Yeah,
for metal oxide semiconducting field effect transistor. Yeah, so
yes.
it does have some type of field, but I
It has
mean,
an electric
I
field perpendicular to the base, the base plate.
yeah. I mean, I'm not disputing that. Like everything you're saying is not incorrect, but I just think that I mean, I'm not here today to like get into the whole like whether the MOSFET. I don't want to go back and forth with that, but I see both you and Lloyd's perspective. Like, frankly, I don't think that either of you are necessarily wrong or right. I think it's how you are looking at the picture as a whole. Um, so
Do you
I don't
think
know.
it's free energy in there?
Huh? Do I
Do
think
you
it's
think the
free
MOSFET
energy?
is giving free energy?
Well, okay. So for me personally, I think the term of free energy is kind of loaded. Like I don't like to look at it as free energy because I mean if you want to say that it's free and that you don't have to pay the electric company, I mean I guess maybe you could say it's free, but free is like as in like an overall absolute term. I don't think that any energy is free because you're always getting your energy from somewhere. But
I'm just really saying it because I know that's one of his arguing points of that. Like that was the whole reason why he brought up the whole spike current or pulse current. That's why he keeps saying it because
well,
he's
I mean
saying it as if there's energy there, like energy
I
that wasn't there before. Somehow it's there and we can grab it. That's his argument.
I mean,
Fundamentally, it's off.
I don't know. I disagree with you on that, but I've
Which
seen
part?
how what Lloyd. Well, because it's more complicated than just saying that if the energy is coming from directly from the MOSFET or to the MOSFET from the gate to whatever device, or if you're saying that it's something happening inside of the field or something like that. If we're not fully understanding like the mechanics that we're talking about here, I don't think we're ever going to really get to a actual solution on who really is right or wrong. Because at this point being, whenever you and Lloyd are talking, you can't really, no one really is putting an actual answer out there because it's just
So
back
here's the
and forth
irony.
on like,
Here's the
mhm.
irony. Here's the irony. I'm being told I'm suppressing information when I'm actually offering the notion of what is actually happening in the device. I am not offering my opinion. I am not offering anything other than what I know exactly what's going on, down to the physics of the semiconductors. I can go in great detail. That is not by accident. And I kept telling Lloyd, I'm a different beast. I am not somebody on the internet just listening to you for some answers. I'm trying to offer you what I know from my experience, the things I've tested, the things I've built, the things I've designed myself. I've designed them. So I know. I'm telling you what I know that's in industry right now. You think your iPhone's working by itself? Somebody designed that circuit in there with MOSFETs, NPN devices, resistors, capacitors, batteries, the transformers, all kinds of stuff is in there. Somebody designed it. And I'm telling you from industry, you are not supposed to be teaching this because your level of understanding is entirely too low. No disrespect, but he's not understanding what he's trying to say. He can't even get his words right. So that's a red flag usually. And I'm not, again, I'm not what do you call it, like a language police. I just know in math and science you have to be specific, because if you're not, there could be introduced confusion, and confusion leads to errors and things that needs to be fixed later. So you have to be very specific, which
I
with how you
I
speak.
I get that, but where I kind of have to disagree on that a bit is, sometimes we have to be careful on how we want to define who should say what or who should not. Because a good example of this is YouTube, right? YouTube is meant to be a platform for the people, right? It's the
Yes.
you and tube. But as we all know, is that over the last few years has increasingly become more censored. You can't even say basic things like at all that you could say like maybe just like 5 years ago or so. You can't make a comment because it'll just some random AI or something or some bot that they're running on the platform just automatically deletes your messages and or removes your videos and such. So we know that. So it's like it gets to a point to where I think we all should share what we know, but I think we shouldn't hold that information as such a high authority over someone else to the point to where someone who might not know as much as you but might know enough where they might know something different that no one else has seen before, but they might have that little piece to the puzzle that we all need to figure out that answer that we're all looking for. But if
When the
we're
shit
shutting
hits the
if
fan, when the shit hits the fan, who do you call? The experts, the ones who study this shit, not just math, not just science. I don't care if it's
I
political. I don't care if it's military. I don't care whatever, if it's medical, whatever it is. When the shit hits the fan, you call the ones that know this shit. So definitely there should be some level of if we're going to lean towards someone
yeah
with a voice.
yeah
Not
I
everybody deserves a voice. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan that everybody gets to have a
and
voice. Not
I
in every space. Not in
I
every
have to
space.
disagree on that. I
Not in
think
every space.
I think there's a. I think what you're trying to say is that there are some people who will, for lack of a better term, will try to sort of scam people who don't know any better with inaccurate information to sort of mislead people. But frankly, in my perspective, I think there's actually very few people who do that than what most people realize. Because as people tend to lean and focus more on the negative things than the positive things. You see it in the news all the time. Like some big thing happens, it's like, oh, this guy, I don't know, bombs this building or something, and it's like, look over here, all this bad stuff is happening, or um someone releases a new product and it does all of these things, but it does this like one bad thing, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, it's so bad, it's trash," and So I think we have to be careful to distinguish those type of people from the people who are actually trying to bring something new that could be helpful. But
But
that
you
I mean
can't.
that's
How do I expect you to know how to change a
you can prove it.
scenario if you don't
You
understand what's going on?
because you can prove
You
it.
cannot improve on a car if you don't know how the car operates already. You have to know what it's doing in order to improve on it. How do you not how do you not see that part of it? Like you cannot do anything. I can't come into your class and know coding and I've never taken a coding class. I just watched a YouTube video and I'm confident. It's not
Of
how it
I
works.
did.
of course,
I
I'm
did.
not saying that. I'm saying you can prove it as and if you are lacking if you're lacking the vernacular or whatever, or you're lacking some knowledge somewhere, but you know enough to do something, you just need something to fill in the gaps, right? But you can prove it. That's why we do like science. That's why we do scientific methods. So we have an idea. We don't really know what the result will be, but we
That's a
have the
hypothesis,
assumption.
yes.
Yeah, exactly. And then we use our senses to arrive at that result. And if we can prove that result based on all of the process before, then and it works, then you have your answer. And that's why I was saying
Not necessarily, because you have to know how to test it. Sometimes the test is flawed. Sometimes you're not testing it the way you think you're testing it.
that
This is
yeah,
the exact case with Lloyd, to be
that
honest. He
that's
doesn't
I,
know, he's not
I,
even testing it properly to get the answer that he wants.
that's true, but it can also go vice versa. You could test an answer and then get the right answer somehow, even if the test might not be 100% accurate. Same way you can also test something and also get the wrong answer, but because the way you tested it wasn't correct, you got the wrong answer. So it's kind of it goes both
Therein
ways.
lies peer reviews. Therein lies peer reviews to make
Yeah,
sure, do you understand that
I
what you're
agree. Yeah,
testing, this is how you test it. So you have to vet it through people
but
who know this stuff.
true,
That's exactly I'm getting
but
back to the exact same point I started with. There has to be some level of authority in knowing what the hell is going on.
I agree. But peer
did.
review comes with its limitations because, for
Of
example,
course.
be yeah for example, even if you were to take even if you were to take every I don't know every genius in the world, right? Like whatever, however number that there is, maybe there's a handful. Who knows? Just for this example, and you were to take every genius, and you have a problem that people were trying to solve for years, centuries maybe, but they just couldn't. And maybe you have this one set they have the potential to, but within their lifetime they just never figure it out because they didn't have all of the information they needed to figure out. But these are the only geniuses that you have to actually get to that solution that you need, and yet they couldn't figure out. So that's why I'm saying, like, there's a
Because
limitation.
there's a lot of there's variables in that though. There's variables
Yeah,
in that.
yeah, of course, of
Everything's
course.
not going to be solved with just one group of people. I'm not saying that they're the end all be all, but for the knowledge that we have up to this point, somebody has it. and those are the people that need to be in position when the time calls.
Yeah, but
I, I'm
position.
okay with somebody tinkering, messing around, doing all that stuff. Lloyd can play with his LEDs until the cows come home. I don't care. It's the moment he comes up here and tries to convince people of things that not even he can prove. That's the part that I'm a little irritated with, and he doesn't want to know. It's like deliberate ignorance. He doesn't want to know. He'd rather call me a shill or somebody who works for the electric company, or he's the one that's suppressing information. Like, no, I'm coming with information. I'm saying, look, some of this stuff has been figured out in physics book. Look, you can read it. You can do the calculation. You can actually see it right here. He doesn't want to hear it. So that's where my frustration comes with him. He doesn't want to know. But
So
I'd
like,
be damned if he's going to
uh,
keep calling me a shill.
mhm.
Like, no, I'm not a shill. I'm an educator. That's what I do. I can't. I'm not going to turn it off because he doesn't get it.